The community has voted. Tilt Pseudo Storm Skip has been allowed into NMG categories, and with that, I'm releasing this video to explain how to do it. Just a quick note before we begin. If you have any questions about tricks in any of my videos, please just ask me. Leave a comment in the video, ping me on Discord. I'm happy to help. Okay, so you got to this point of your 80% NMG run. Normally, you would go for Skew, go around this Emmy zone, and whatever. Now we're going to do Tilt Pseudo. The first thing we have to deal with is the Emmy. The Emmy is going to be here bothering you, and the best way to get peace of mind is to despawn it with a ledge warp. You have three options for this ledge warp. The first one is to set up on this 4-tile ledge and go out the door and warp back in. That's going to despawn it. The second is to do a backflash ledge warp setup here, bomb up, get out, and warp back in. The third option is to use this 4-tile ledge warp near the far door and go out, warp back in. So the 4-tile ledge warp I've already explained in my old ledge warp tutorial, which I'll link you to in the description. This setup I have actually not explained because it was found after my ledge warp tutorial video, so I'm going to explain now. Let's start with this one. I actually don't recommend this setup because it's all too easy to get caught by the Emmy. See, the Emmy is going to climb this tunnel up and it's going to glance between left and right and whatnot. It's all too easy to get caught and seen, just like that. I'm going to do this setup real quick and I'm going to explain after. You can Phantom Cloak just for safety, it's not always needed. So how does this work? The backflash setup is very similar to the short boost tech. If you already know how to do short boost, this is going to be pretty easy to do. You need to be in a very specific position that's almost like the full flash distance. And the easiest way to get there is to slow climb the ledge. You grab the ledge, slow climb by pressing B or up, and then buffer a slide forward. You first press ZL, then quickly press forward. This is going to make you slide without taking any steps, so just a very consistent way to measure a distance in this game. The next thing is I'm going to add inputs incrementally. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to flash backward. Easy. We're going to get set up again in position. So you're going to do that half circle motion from backward to down to forward. You can do this as a continuous motion. Basically the short boost inputs. Going to do it again. This is a lot easier to do than the short boost. You don't have to do any special delays. You don't have to do anything unusual. It's just like continuous motion, no delays, easy. So one more time. All right. Next, you're going to add a slide. So you're going to input back, down, forward. You're going to keep pushing forward. And as you get to forward, after you go past that point where Samus kind of stalls, you're going to slide forward. So let's get positioned again. That's what it looks like. So flashback, half circle motion, slide forward. And you get stuck on the ledge. So if you get stuck on the ledge like this, that means you've done the setup correctly. All you have to do now is just morph, and you got the ledge warp. Guaranteed. Let's do it again. Done. So the nice thing about this is you can just practice here. As long as you despawn the Emmy, it's not going to bother you. You're free to just practice this as much as you like. You don't even have to leave the Emmy zone. You can if you want to for practice, for runs. I really like to use this setup here for runs. It's just well in the way of where we want to go. It's fast. It's actually nice to do. It's very consistent. It might be a little tricky to learn at first, but once you're comfortable with the inputs, it's very easy and very consistent. You can set up by doing the slide into here. That is like the best way to get that distance. But you can also just eyeball it. It is kind of precise, so I would recommend doing that slide. You can also do a double flash shift, but it's going to require a little bit of timing. It's probably going to be a bit faster than the slide, but it's not a huge deal. So that is your second option. Let's go ahead and check out the third option. We're going to go to the far end of the Emmy zone. The Emmy is despawned, so that's really good. I want to mention that doing this while the Emmy is spawned is extremely laggy. This area here is extremely laggy if the Emmy is spawned. Maybe it's not so bad on Switch 2, but on Switch 1 it's terrible. So another 4-tile ledge. You do the ledge warp setup. You go out and you warp back in. This is great for practice. This is the closest checkpoint to the practice point, so it's nice. You can also use it in runs. It's probably going to be a little slower than the other options, but it's also less intense. If you navigate through this area quickly, the enemy will take a while to catch up with you. You have several attempts to do this. Okay, so now the enemy is despawned and we can do the actual Tilt Pseudo setup. I'm going to do the setup one time and then I'm going to explain every step. Alright, so that's pretty much what it looks like. I didn't get it, but that's what the setup involves. So first you get tilt on this magnet, then you're gonna get lined up against the wall, then you can do a few jumps to like line up your shot. You have to prepare a charge beam, you can do a few jumps and it's fine. Like once you do this part of the setup, you'll be in position. As long as you keep holding free aim, you'll be in position, so you can keep jumping and shooting as many times as you like. And then when you feel like you got your timing ready, you can shoot and then commit to the flash shift. So, let's start with getting tilt. How you get tilt here. So basically you're gonna put Samus a bit further to the left of the left edge of the magnet. So let's just try to eyeball it a little bit. Here, if you aim up, no free aim, just push the stick up and jump. If you're a bit far, if you're a bit off the edge of the magnet, you won't grab it like this. If you were a bit closer, then you would grab it. This is not what you want. You want to actually be at a distance where you don't grab the magnet, but you want to be not too far that you can still grab it if you fire the grapple beam near the ceiling. So, the visual cue I want to give you here is, I want Samus's back foot to cover that dark gray stripe in the background. Like that. That's perfect. This is the visual cue that I usually go for. It's not very easy to get there. You could like eyeball it, you could just wing it, or you know, do a few double turnarounds to get there, or you can use Morph Ball. I've seen Justin Zane do this with Morph Ball. With the Morph Ball, you want a different visual cue. You see that little line in the background to the right of the right side of the Morph Ball. That's, you want the Morph Ball to be a few pixels to the left, as you see here. This gets you there too. If you're facing the other way, just turn around. So basically put that foot covering the gray line. This is, you can probably get away with a few more pixels to the left, but you know, this is what you want to see. Then you aim up, jump, and fire grapple beam. So see how Samus doesn't grab it? It's the grapple beam that's gonna grab it. So you grapple when you're near the ceiling. And that gives you a pretty big tilt. Look at how tilted those shots are. I also want to talk about the magnet. You have to hop down by pressing down, like that. If you press B, you're gonna spin, and spinning breaks your tilt, so it just, yeah, if you spin, if you press B to hop out of there, you'll have to redo the setup. You have to be quick about pressing down, not because that's a requirement, but because if you don't do it quickly, you're gonna be dragged off all the way here. And that means you're gonna have to do the whole thing all over again. There's no point trying to keep tilt like underwater. You're just gonna lose it. Just flash shift, reset, get back here, do the setup from the start. That's just much easier. So you got tilt. Next thing is we're gonna line up against the wall. I'm gonna try to explain like one input at a time, so you can so that hopefully it'll be easy to follow along. So first thing you want to do is you want to get close-ish to the wall. You don't have to be too close so you don't bonk here, but you know, it doesn't have to be too far either. Neutral jump first. Just press B, no inputs on the control stick. So you neutral jump, then you move into the wall, like that. If you're already into the wall, you can continue to jump from here, as long as you go against the wall on your jump. So neutral jump into the wall, then you're gonna do free aim. You're gonna free aim against the wall, like that. You're gonna add the backward, you're gonna jump into the wall, free aim, then aim backward. And now you're gonna add a pause. You wanna pause as soon as you get backward, way up in the air, to give you plenty of room to do the rest of the inputs. So neutral jump, forward into the wall, free aim, aim backward, and pause. Alright. So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna use these inputs to make Samus turn around without moving away from the wall. So you just release free aim, you release the control stick, and press B, and that's that. If you try to do this without the pause, it's all too easy to get Samus to move off the wall. It takes just a couple frames, so best to just do the pause buffer here. Now, once you're landed here, you're lined up against the wall, you want to jump one more time and hold free aim. And now you're all set. If you instead free aim on the ground, on this step, Samus will take a step back and ruin your positioning, so you'll have to do it all over again. You can also combine these two steps into one. So you do all the inputs up until the pause buffer. So neutral jump, forward, free aim backward, pause. And now you can unpause and press free aim again after you unpause, so that Samus goes into frame before she lands. And that combines these two steps into one. But you can do it however you prefer. I would say that as you grow more comfortable with the inputs, you can transition into you can start adding some shortcuts in your setup. This is one of them. What angles work? So when Samus jumps, so you always want to do a full jump. Always make sure that you're holding down B doing this jump. At the peak of the jump, Samus is leaned pretty deeply into the wall. This is all visual, there's no clip in here. And yeah, that's at the peak of the jump you get a pretty wide range of angles that clip through. But once you go down, she pulls back a bit and the angles narrow down a bit. So the angles you want, so this is more or less like a decent angle. Use whatever visual cues you want here. Aiming like between these vertices on the frame is pretty good. The range is bigger. There are shots that are you can fire shots like way into the wall, but these are not going to connect. So I would say anywhere between those two vertices should be good. Like aiming to the midpoint is what I usually go for. That just hits right there. You can see the shots exploding. But slightly different angles will work too. But this is just my go-to. I do think that there is some diffusion RNG at play here. Even when I do my good attempts, I don't always get the door to open. So yeah, there is some RNG involved to this. So whenever you are ready, you can do a few shots to prepare, to warm up. Whenever you are ready, when you figured out your timing on the lowest shot, you can go ahead and commit to the flash shift. Alright, that was a very bad flash shift. It was very late. So you're probably wondering what's the lowest point where you can fire your shot. Let's watch one of my successful attempts. This is where the shot goes off, and this is where flash shift starts. About 4 frames of difference. This trick is almost double frame perfect. I took some more shots in the same position, but without charge beam so you can see clearly. Top of the shoulder against this indentation on the wall. If you want to go unbuffered, you'll have to get used to this visual cue and then flash shift 4 frames later. Alright, before we get into the pause buffer setup, I got a bunch of frames for you to study. Frame 0 is the lowest point where you can still pause buffer a shot through the wall. And then frame -1 is the frame before that, the second lowest point where you can pause buffer a shot through the wall. These frames, -1 and 0, are the only frames that work for storm skip. You have to fire on one of these two frames. Let's say you fire from frame -1. If you flash it from frame 0, you bonk, frame 1, you bonk, frame 2, you bonk, frame 3 is the first and only frame that works with frame -1. Any later than that will be too late. So if you fire from frame 0, then you flash shift from frame 1, you bonk, from frame 2, you bonk, frame 3 works, frame 4 still works, any later than that will not work. From frame -1, there's only one frame you can flash shift, from frame 0, there are 2 frames you can flash shift. It's almost double frame perfect. Now basically what you're going to do is you're going to jump and it'll try to pause on the way down. If you get the right frames, then you're going to go ahead and advance to flash shift. If you skip over the frames, then you're too late, you're not going to flash shift, you're going to land and redo the shot and try again. Getting tilt and positioning are going to be the same, but then we're going to do the pause buffers. We're actually going to combine 2 pause buffers into one, and then we'll frame advance to get the flash shift. I'm going to explain all of these things separately first, and then we'll put them all together. The first thing I want to explain is shooting. There are 2 ways you can fire shots. One is releasing Y, and the other is pressing R to activate the missile mode. There's a very important difference between these two. If I suddenly change direction on input, like I'm just inputting backward, if I just suddenly release Y, the shot just instantly goes backward. But if I do the same thing by pressing R, if I shoot by pressing R, the shot goes into wherever the cannon was aiming previously. We're going to be using the R button to fire the charge beam into the wall. So I don't have tilt, I just want to illustrate this. You're gonna like aim into your angle and whatever. You're gonna jump and pause and see what's gonna happen here. If I keep holding free aim and release Y and unpause, the shot goes forward. So the reason why we're doing this with R, so you get the right frame and you can just let go of all your inputs. You don't have to be sweating to keep the angle correctly. All we have to do now is just press R, press free aim, and release the shot where it was being aimed. What you're gonna do is you're gonna charge up your shot, you're gonna jump, you're gonna pause on one of the correct frames, you're gonna hold free aim, you're gonna release. So the only inputs you wanna hold here is free aim and missile mode, L and R. And then you're gonna unpause and your shot goes. So this is the shooting part. The flash shift is a bit weird to buffer. So instead of buffering in the pause menu, I'm going to unpause and buffer it. So forget the shooting for a second here, just focus on the part with the flash shift. So I would just jump, go down, and now I'm gonna press B, A, and plus. B is gonna unpause. I'm gonna press A while unpaused, and then I'm gonna pause again. All right, that was probably slow. It probably would not have worked for the trick itself, but I just wanted you to understand the inputs. So you can practice this even out of the wall. It's all too easy to mess up. I've been practicing this for a while. I got more consistent, but if you are too quick, you might actually just press A during the pause screen, which may not work. You might press B and plus at the same time, which will pretty much like cancel each other out. Yeah, you really have to make sure that you press B, then A, then plus. Any other orders, if you go too fast or too slow, may not work. Highly recommend you do this before you try to commit to your attempts on the wall. Otherwise, it's going to be very frustrating. You're going to do all that setup with tilt and positioning only to just mess up your inputs right there. Frame advancing is when you pause the game and then you unpause and repause very quickly to try to advance just 1 or 2 frames. If you're really good at this, so this is actually pretty hard. If you're really good at this, you can literally advance 1 frame. Very often I will probably just advance 2 frames at a time, thinking it's 1. But that's what it looks like. Again, you pause the game, press B and quickly plus to pause again. You have to get used to the timing of this. If you go too fast, you might just cancel out the pause and just not get the repause at all. It'll happen something like this. You think you're pausing again, but you don't. If you're too slow, then you'll skip too many frames. If you're too fast, your inputs will just kind of cancel each other out. So here's the gist of what we're gonna do. We're gonna combine the flash shift buffer and the shoot buffer, all the 2 in one, and then we're gonna frame advance until we get to the flash shift frames. So let me try to do the setup a few times to show you it all together. Okay, I got frame -1. The only inputs I'm doing here are free aim and R. Now I'm gonna press B, A, and plus. And that skipped a few frames. I am 1 frame before the correct frame for flash shift, so I'm gonna try to frame advance 1 time. To frame advance here, you can continue to hold free aim. You can hold L, A, and that's all you need to hold. And then you're gonna try to press B and plus. So I went over the frame. I think I went over like 2 frames. So that's not gonna work. So I'm gonna try again. As long as you keep holding free aim, you can continue to retry this after you land every time. So we're gonna try again. I got frame -1 again. Do the same thing. L, R. Now I'm gonna B, A plus. Now I skipped straight to the flash shift frame. We're gonna go through. So you're gonna hold L, A, and push the stick to the right. And hope you get it. Looks like I didn't get it. We're gonna try again. So since I flash shifted, I lost tilt, I have to do the setup all over again. But this is the good thing. So you're only really doing the flash shift when you know that you got a good shot at getting this. Frame -1, never lucky. I am 1 frame before, I skipped the frame. 1 frame advancing, cool. Frame -1 again. That is 1 frame before. I frame advance 2 frames, so that's not gonna work either. Oh boy, so that's too early. We're gonna try to jump again. Oh, I think that was too late anyway. I messed up my input. So that is frame 0, the better one. I am in frame 3, that works. And I got the shot and it opened the door. Perfect. So that is the pause buffered setup. Personally, I highly recommend buffered because this trick is very precise, but some people do this unbuffered and have good success with that. So do whatever feels best to you. So the last thing I want to talk about, and you're probably wondering, how much time does this actually save? Is it really worth doing in runs? So again, if you've watched my storm skip reveal video, I did mention that there are a few things that factor into this. The fact that you have to spend time doing the ledge warp, the number of attempts here, and of course your choice of jump upgrade. You can get either spin jump, space jump, or neither and just roll with no upgrades. I personally haven't done any time comparisons. I actually did one run with spin boost, which seemed to save something like 1 minute 20 seconds, 1 minute 30. That's just like an estimate. I didn't save that much time, but going off of how much time I lost with mistakes. But Namatasu has made some comparisons, and based on his comparisons, you could save as much as 1 minute and 40 seconds if you choose to not go with any jump upgrades. So the reason for that is probably the fact that if you go for space jump, which is over here, it's going to be a big detour. You could get spin jump after gravity suit. After you come from Barania, you just hop out of here, go in the water, get spin boost in here. It's better to do this after gravity because you'll have faster movement underwater, obviously. So spin boost is better than space jump. It has the potential to be faster just because it's a shorter detour right here, and it's still handy enough to give you a fast and comfortable end game because Hanubia and Late Ferrani give you some, have some layouts that would benefit from some high jumps, right? And some parts of Hanubia, you're gonna have to bomb jump, same in escape, is what it is. So you can definitely choose. If you don't like to go without jump upgrades, I would recommend you get spin boost. If you want to go for the fastest times, then no jump upgrades and just practice the heck out of the end game. That is going to be it for this video. I will post Namatasu's time comparisons in the description if you want to watch them. That is it for this video. I hope that it helped you understand and pick up this trick. It is probably going to take a lot of practice to get either unbuffered or buffered. So I wish you good luck. Please like and subscribe. If you have any questions, again, feel free to ask in the comments. Thank you for watching and see you on the next one.